Welcome, Joy Fam, to another episode of The Joy Seeds. Today, we are continuing conversations at the series Generational Chats. And Generational Chat is just so that we can go topic by topic and share the perspectives of the different generations. My mother is born in 1947, Jocelyn Matsimala. Ta-da! And I am considered a millennial, born in 1987. Yes, I'm 32 years old. Yes. So, we love to discuss different things, and that's actually helped us to develop a deeper understanding of each other's perspectives in life. You know, sometimes you look at someone and you wonder why they make decisions the way they do, why they stay away from certain things, and a lot of the time it's things that they've either had traumatic experiences with, and you know, it gets stuck in their behavior, or you know, they have just developed sometimes a context that they've internalized, you know. So my mom, of course, because apartheid started in 1948, so she was basically born into it, there's certain things about her attitudes that I realized were formed because of living through that, you know. So because of what's going on in South Africa at the moment, there's a lot of discussion about how kids are being treated at school, and there's a lot of children of color, but also there's a lot of white kids that have been speaking up for that, and they've also been bearing witness to all of those things. So, you know, realizing that these things have been coming up is one thing to recognize. To those of you who are just subscribed to, or just tuning in, if you haven't subscribed to the Joy Seed, please do subscribe, hit the bell, and so that you can know when there are new episodes coming up, because Generational Chats will be a series. So getting back to the topic of schooling system, we're just going to have a fluid conversation about my mom's experiences, my experiences, and just share, because I think then we'll realize that the problem is long time coming and a little bigger, but we can overcome it. With every generation, things can get better and better. So having the social media conversations that are happening now, there's one account called You Silence, We Amplify, which is really great. And there's a lot of more solidarity in terms of marches and protests and things like that, going to the streets. So it makes me hopeful. Doesn't it make you hopeful? Yeah, the generation isn't going quiet. Cool. Yes. So Mom, what do you remember from your schooling days when it comes to classism or racism while you were doing your schooling?
Well, we didn't experience the true racism in school because it was only one race at the school. We were just so-called colored children at the schools, primary up to high school. In my time when I was in high school, there was only coloreds in our classes.
Sorry, and to those internationals that are listening, colored in South Africa is not a derogatory term. It's just how we describe people that of mixed race. So if you have different types of heritage, whether it's black or white, we refer to people as colored. So just so you know. Go.
So primary school was just colored children. High school was just colored children. So we all were treated the same. Could sit where you want to in class. We were not aware of where not to go, or there were no boundaries in our time, because we were all of one race, I would say. But other than that, I don't think there is something that I can relate to today until after school, when we were made aware of different races. So I don't think I have much to say about divisions between primary school, which was from the 50s to the 1965 when I finished high school.
I asked then, were you aware that the educational system for people of color was different to maybe in the white community? Was that something that you were aware of? or that you heard of during your schooling?
No, not in our time.
Okay, okay. So for me, my experience is a little different. I was very aware that there were different classes of school, and I think that's more when I was going into high school. There were schools that were considered better, that had better educational systems, even though in the media the government would say, all schools are set at the same standard, the education system is all at the same standard. We knew as kids, and also because of what our teachers were talking about, that there is differences and that not all schools had the same resources. And so I was aware at a level that, my mom was sending me to a certain school, and that was the best school that she could afford to send me to. So that wasn't something that I was ignorant to, that there were better schools, but you do the best with what you have, and all I could do was work hard at the schools that I was at. So why I'm mentioning that is just because you realize you have less, but you then just stick to your community so that you don't have to sort of think about that. And I think that's sort of like a common mentality. That's why, yes, it's almost like you stay in your clique so that you don't have to worry about what you don't have. You just do the best that you can. And at school, I was always with the nerds. I was a nerd myself, so that's a thing. And we love to read. We weren't really into the peer pressure stuff, really. I know that sounds weird. Thank you. Shout out to Anouk, to Robin, to Rushta, Nicole. Thank you guys. We were nerds together. So we were just focusing on school. But anyway, besides the point, we realized though that there were certain differences. So for instance, when schools would have to compete against one another for athletics, you could tell that either they had more focused coaches or they had different resources, or when they were playing different codes of sports, whether it was soccer or cricket or hockey, you could tell that the equipment that they personally owned or that the school lent to them for the game was better, because my school, went to Livingston High School, didn't have a very strong sports focus, right? So they had a soccer team and a rugby team, but our field wasn't the best. They tried to raise funds to improve things, but the education, the Department of Education didn't support the school, I think, as well as the teachers would have hoped. So the focus was more on academics than with sport codes. So those type of things I noticed. And we actually changed education. Do they call it education systems often? There was continuous education system. And the assessment styles kept on changing. Sometimes we would have extra tests, and for me it made things a little unstable. It was almost like moving the bar all the time. And there was also, it was very common for them to sort of drop the pass rates. At one point, you needed to be 50%, then they dropped to 40, 30. It was ridiculous. And then also changing the name of subjects. I'm like, oh my word, this is ridiculous. Anyway, I think I went a bit off on a tangent there.
But that's what you remember.
Yeah.
Just try to speak about what you remember. Because there are lots of things that we were not aware we could speak about. Or choices that we would have had. I don't think we were encouraged really to have sports. We just had gym, what they call gym.
Yeah, PE or PT. We used to call it, yeah, PT.
Physical education.
Yes. Physical therapy was called in primary school for me, and then in high school they called it PE, physical education. Yeah, that's how it changed.
I think it was only when I got to high school that I was interested in running, as I can't remember. All through primary school, I would not volunteer to races, to any running. We would do box work, which was jumping over the box to do gymnastics, but not. It's more the boys that were encouraged to do
sports or
athletics, as I would remember we called it. But the girls was not so competitive to do athletics. I think it was only when I got to really the last 2 years of high school that I was interested in athletics, 400, 800, 200, 400 and 800 meters.
Was that because a teacher encouraged you, or you just had the interest
I just
yourself?
felt I'm able to run. So practicing short distance and medium distance and long distance. That's the only thing I think I was interested in. I don't think I like doing high jump, although they put you through the phases of doing high
I
jump.
saw it,
Because
yeah.
if you, I thought I was tall then.
Yeah.
Now that I'm at this age, I don't think so.
My mom takes me like,
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm not among my
Yeah.
peers at high school. I thought I was taller than them, but now looking back, no, not tall at all.
I feel like that was a common thing in schools of color, that there was a focus on athletics, but not like on rugby or like hockey, things like that. It was more athletics, shot put, discus. What was the one with the ball at the end? I don't know what it was called. Anyway, those type of sports. It was almost like the things that were more accessible, that were easier to manage, were more of a focus. And now, or even during school, you realize how important that is for like the well development of children. It's not like you can't be well-rounded without sport, but it really does help. I think when you realize that your teachers or your school doesn't see all the added benefits to it, I mean, what can you do after the fact? Really, like, you can do it for yourself. Like now, for me, I always want to make exercise or having like a physical skill part of my life. And when looking at the schools that were considered better or had better resources, it was almost like you have to do something physical, do a sport. Why? Because it just adds to developing a better you at the end of the day. It's almost like you just learn about yourself and learn about teamwork and a high hand and eye coordination because of that. Yes, and it's sort of like it permeates into all of the other type of yes, and types of thinking that you're developing at school, critical thinking, all that type of thing. And what about teachers? What do you remember about your teachers? Was there a variety of teachers, or?
Maybe my memory is not so good at remembering. We didn't have many teachers doing physical education. I think they concentrated more on the academic side.
Yeah.
Sports wasn't really so emphasized as a code of being part of the syllabus.
Yeah, and I'm sure it wasn't because there wasn't talent as well at the school. I'm sure you might remember
There
people
was lots of
ran
talent.
well and that type of thing.
And for that reason, students easily shied away because they didn't want to be out there, having to change your clothing, and because I remember walking to school, and most children walk to school, so it's an extra bag of clothing, change of clothing for sports, which was just two things: a white top and a white shorts. And I don't think everyone had white top and bottom.
Or that your parents could afford it, you mean?
It's also that.
Yeah, I remember that as well. Everybody not really wanting to bring extra stuff or having to change, because some teachers, they wanted you to be in that shorts and that t-shirt even on a cold day. And if you didn't have the right shoes and you didn't want to really dirty your school shoes, some people, I remember kids used to just wear their school shoes and try and, work out in that. And yeah, a lack of resources does really contribute to like if you invested in it or not. Is this actually going to inconvenience me? And some parents are actually strict. They're like, if you spill your school shoes, then you're either going to get a hiding, which means you get a beating, or excuse me, you're just going to be spoiling your good shoes and you're going to have to.
You don't have extra, like sand shoes, they would cork sand shoes.
Yes, sand shoes, like cheap little sneakers. Like, if for those of you who want to have a visual, Tommy Tackies, they're like this really cheap shoes. And they're not necessarily supportive in any way, but because they're so cheap, it's like, okay, we can
mess around with that.
Exactly. And they come like in basic colors, white, black, whatever. So yeah, that is true. If you don't have the things to do the sport or to be free to do things, to develop your talent, then sometimes you shy away from it and then you lose that talent.